cousin insisted I cater her entire wedding for free, saying, "It'll be great exposure for your business." When I declined, she rolled her eyes. "Fine. I'll find someone better." So I skipped the wedding. The next morning, I woke up to dozens of missed calls. The setup required careful planning. First, I had to confirm my suspicions about the other vendors from her wedding. I reached out to the original caterer, the one Megan had tried to scam with a chargeback. "Did she ever pay you?" I asked. "Nope," Rick replied. "She never showed up to court when I sued her. I won by default, and now I'm filing for wage garnishment. If she has any legitimate income, I'll get my money eventually." That gave me an idea. I started looking into the other vendors from her wedding, the florist, the DJ, the venue, the photographer. One by one, I reached out to them, and the pattern became clear. She hadn't paid any of them. The DJ was still waiting for his $1,500 fee. The florist had been ghosted after delivering thousands of dollars worth of arrangements. The cake decorator had spent 2 days creating a custom wedding cake and never received payment. The venue was threatening to send her account to collections. This wasn't just poor planning or temporary financial difficulties. Megan had systematically booked vendors with no intention of paying them. She'd created her dream wedding on borrowed money and other people's services, then tried to disappear when the bills came due. But she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd left a trail of evidence and a lot of angry people who were ready to take action. The showdown required one more phone call, this time directly to Uncle Dan. When I told him everything I discovered, the unpaid vendors, the systematic fraud, the coordinated attack on my business, he was quiet for a long time. Then he exploded. "I'll spare you the details of that conversation, but by the end of it, Megan's support system was officially gone. I'm cutting her off," Dan said. "No more help, no more bailouts. She made this mess, and she can clean it up herself." "You're really going to let her sink?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "She tried to destroy your business," he replied. "She stole from me, lied to me, and scammed half the town. She's made her choice, and now she has to live with the consequences." With that, the final piece was in place. I didn't know exactly how it would all play out, but Megan's house of cards was about to collapse, and I was going to have a front row seat to watch it happen. The explosion came at a family gathering, a birthday party for my aunt that had been planned for months. The venue was packed with dozens of relatives, all making small talk and pretending there wasn't a storm brewing beneath the surface. Megan walked in like nothing was wrong, hair perfectly styled, makeup flawless, fake smile plastered on her face. She was good at that, pretending everything was fine even when her world was falling apart. She made the rounds, hugging relatives and accepting congratulations on her recent marriage, acting like the perfect new bride. I watched her from across the room, marveling at her performance. She chatted with cousins, laughed at jokes, and played the part of the happy newlywed. But I could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Then Uncle Dan stood up. "I need to say something," he announced, his voice cutting through the party chatter. The room fell silent, everyone turning to look at him. I felt a chill run through the room as people sensed that something serious was about to happen. Megan froze, her champagne glass halfway to her lips. Her face went pale as she realized what was coming. Dan's voice was eerily calm. "My daughter," he said, looking directly at Megan, "is a liar and a thief." The words hit the room like a physical blow. Someone gasped, a chair creaked, and I heard someone whisper, "Oh my God. Dad, what are you doing?" Megan laughed nervously, but the sound was hollow and desperate. Dan didn't blink. "You stole from me," he continued. "You stole from your wedding vendors. You tried to ruin your cousin's business. And now you're out of chances." The room erupted in whispers and murmurs. All eyes were on Megan, who looked like she wanted to disappear. But the confrontation was just beginning. One by one, the vendors she'd stiffed began to speak up. The DJ had been invited to the party. He was a friend of the family who'd done the wedding as a favor. "You still owe me $1,500, he said quietly. The florist, who was my aunt's neighbor, stood up next. "You ignored my calls after the wedding. I had to eat the cost of all those arrangements." Even the cake decorator, who'd been invited because she was dating one of our cousins, joined in. "I custom-made that cake, Megan. I spent 2 days on it, and you never paid me." The confrontation was devastating to watch. Megan's breathing became shallow, her face flushed red, and she looked around desperately for support that wasn't coming. Her own father had orchestrated this moment, and no one was going to save her. Then came the final blow. Rick, the original caterer, stepped forward and dropped a legal envelope in front of her. "This is a garnishment notice," he said. "Your wages will be docked until I get every penny you owe me." Megan's composure finally cracked. "This isn't fair," she whispered, her voice breaking. "This is an attack. You're all ganging up on me." But Dan's voice was like steel. "No, Megan," he said. "This is justice. You made your choices, and now you face the consequences." She looked at me then, her eyes desperate and pleading. "You did this," she spat. "You ruined my life." I tilted my head calmly. "You did that all by yourself, Megan." That's when she completely lost it. She threw her champagne glass across the room, where it shattered against the wall. Then she turned on her father, her voice rising to a shriek. "Dad, you don't understand. I had no choice. I didn't have the money. You wouldn't help me pay for the wedding." Dan's face darkened. "I would have helped you if you'd asked honestly," he said. "Instead, you stole from me. You forged my signature and destroyed my credit." Megan was hyperventilating now, trapped with nowhere to run. No more lies, no more manipulation, no more people willing to enable her behavior. Then, without another word, she turned and ran out of the party. The door slammed behind her, and the room fell silent. No one moved, no one chased after her. We all knew this was the end of something, the end of Megan's ability to manipulate and deceive, the end of her family's willingness to cover for her mistakes. That night, I expected an explosion of angry texts and voicemails. But Megan didn't call or text. She simply vanished, cutting off all contact with the family. Days passed, then weeks. Through the family grapevine, I heard about her downward spiral. She lost her job when the wage garnishment kicked in. Her boss didn't want to deal with the paperwork and drama. Without steady income, she couldn't cover her mounting debts. The bank came after her for the fraudulent loans. Collection agencies called constantly. She moved in with a friend, but that arrangement lasted only 2 weeks before they kicked her out, tired of the constant harassment from creditors. Eventually, she had no choice but to crawl back to Uncle Dan, begging and crying for help. But Dan held firm, shutting the door in her face. For the first time in her life, Megan had to face the consequences of her actions alone. It's been a year since then. Megan and I haven't spoken since that night at the party. She tried to reach out once, sending a single text that simply said, "I'm sorry." But I never responded. Some things you don't come back from. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. I lost nothing in this conflict. My business is thriving, my reputation is intact, and I've learned valuable lessons about protecting myself from people who would exploit family relationships. Megan lost everything: her family's support, her financial security, her reputation, and any chance of redemption. And honestly, that was her own doing. Some people learn from their mistakes the easy way. Others have to learn the hard way. Megan learned when it was already too late.